Good morning, dear children. Let's begin the geography class. Today, I will wind up with the chapter A Representation of Geographical Features. In this chapter, we will study settlements, what are settlements, the types of settlements, that is temporary and permanent settlements, rural and urban settlements, and settlements pattern, locating features on topo sheet, interpretation and analysis of a topo sheet, and we will finish the chapter. Let's begin our class. What are settlements? Settlements, we can say it can be a solution, it can be an agreement, it can be a payment, it can be a colony, it can be a payoff, it can be a population, it can be a colonization, it can be an hamlet, it can be an adjustment. So in this chapter, it is related with the abadi, or you can say vyavasthapan, or you can say colony, that is where the people live. How do they develop the settlement? Settlement are the places where people build their house and settle down more or less permanently. In other words, a settlement is a group of human dwellings in urban or rural areas, from the smallest house to the largest house. It can be in an urban area or it can be in a rural area. It can be a smaller house or it can be a larger house. Altogether, it's collectively known as a settlement. It depends on people how do they do their settlement for staying, or it can be in a permanent way or in a temporary way. The place where a settlement develops is called a site. Commonly, there are two types of settlement, that is temporary settlements and permanent settlements. Temporary settlements can be uh, for a limited time, but the permanent settlements it's for a long time. In a short, we can say. Now, what are temporary settlements? Temporary settlements are those settlements that are inhabited for a short time and then abandoned. You must have seen the people who are living for some time in an area. After that, they disappear or they move to the another place. That can be called as an temporary settlements. The people living in deep forest, hot or and cold deserts and mountains reside in these temporary settlements. They practice hunting, gathering and shifting, cultivation and transhumance. For example, people living in the hilly terrain in Badrinath and Kedarnath in Uttarakhand stay there during the summer season and come down to the plains during the harsh winters, because during the harsh winters they cannot survive there. So during the summer season there is a cold season is there, but they can survive in that season. But when there is an in winters, there is harsh winter, they cannot survive, so they stay from that side they come downwards there to the place where they can easily survive. Godia Lohas, a nomadic community of ironsmiths from Rajasthan. These people never build a permanent settlement because there is a possibility of a damage of their house, or they cannot build that side their permanent settlement, so they live in a temporary settlements only. Now when we talk about permanent settlements, they are permanently occupied. More and more people are living today in permanent settlements. These settlements can be either big or small. Even we children, as we are living, we are living in a permanent settlement only. I don't think we are living in a temporary settlements. They include building for houses, schools, hospitals, offices, markets, cultural and entertainment centers, etc. These permanent settlements are classified into rural settlements and urban settlements, that is Shahari Ilaka or Gramin Ilaka. When we talk about rural settlements are more closely and directly related to land and include villages. Most of the houses in rural areas are made up of mud, wood and thatch. The main economic activities, the thatch here means that it's made up of we can say a chapper in Hindi. We are saying that in the village we see many of the people like jhopdi type, we can say from foos type. It is made up of that uh, VD type things, no, that is wooden plank, you can say. From that it is made in that thatch. So people, sometimes people live in that also, and sometimes if they are living in the brick made house, they will live in their animals will live in that type of house made. The main economic activities followed by the rural area people include agriculture, animal husbandry, fishing, and forestry. The basic amenities such as clean drinking water, electricity, schools and colleges, roads, communication networks are not as developed in urban areas. तो इन क्षेत्रों में, जो ग्रामीण क्षेत्र होते हैं, उनमें इतनी सुविधाएं नहीं होती हैं जबकि हम देखते हैं शहरी क्षेत्रों में। तो यहाँ पर जो बिजली है, पीने का पानी है, स्कूल्स हैं, विद्यालय, कॉलेजेस हैं, सड़क हैं, संचार के माध्यम हैं, वो अभी इतने विकसित नहीं हैं जितने शहरी क्षेत्रों में विकसित हुए हैं। इन मैनी डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज लाइक इंडिया इज ऑल्सो एन डेवलपिंग कंट्री नाउ, रूरल एरियाज लैक बेसिक फैसिलिटीज लाइक टॉयलेट्स एंड प्रॉपर गार्बेज डिस्पोजल। सो अब आज भी जो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज हैं, जो अभी विकसित हो रही हैं, भारत भी एक विकसित ही देश है, अभी विकास कर रहा है। इन देशों में आज भी ये शौचालय और अन्य प्रकार के समस्याएं हैं, जिससे जो स्वास्थ्य संबंधी परेशानियां होती रहती हैं। Urban settlements include cities and towns that I have said that urban is a शहरी क्षेत्र। They are larger than rural settlements। ये जो है ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों से थोड़ा बड़ा होता है। People are engaged in non-agricultural activities such as manufacturing, trading and services। तो यहाँ के लोग ज़्यादातर नौकरी पेशा में व्यस्त रहते हैं, व्यापार से संबंधित या फिर उद्योग से संबंधित, या फिर अपनी जो नौकरी, जो डेली नौकरियाँ करते हैं, उनमें व्यस्त रहते हैं। These areas have advanced amenities, better opportunities for education, healthcare, employment, transportation, communication, and overall better standard of living than rural settlements। तो यहाँ के लोगों के पास आधुनिक तकनीक होती हैं, जैसे अच्छी व्यवस्थाएं हैं पढ़ने की, स्वास्थ्य संबंधित व्यवस्थाएं, रोजगार से संबंधित और परिवहन से संबंधित और संचार के माध्यम एवं उनका रहन सहन, ये ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों से बेहतर होती हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, बेंगलुरु हैज emerged as the information technology hub in India। So this is a great example for urban settlements। The patterns of settlements यानी कि अलग अलग प्रकार के आकार के settlements, रहन सहन। The intervening streets present some recognizable patterns or geometric shapes such as compact or nucleated settlements, dispersed or scattered settlements, that is different other places that look dispersed and scattered, अलग अलग किया हुआ, linear settlement pattern। Three types of these type of settlements will study। Compact or nucleated settlements. This pattern is also called clustered and is often found in areas having too many opportunities. These are actually major villages, towns and cities in plains, or they may be found in difficult terrains where favorable conditions have agglomerated at a certain point. In such patterns, we may find post office, hospital, police station, temple, mosque, reservoir, cemetery, metal road, railway station and so on. So these types of things are found in these types of settlements. These kind of settlement usually portray economic prosperity as various occupations are possible and several facilities are available. When we talk about dispersed or scattered settlements, this pattern is found in large farm areas where there are few people living. So here this type of settlement is found where there is less population. They are also seen in remote areas far from any favorable water source or fertile lands. Both permanent and temporary huts can be seen here. Next one, next one is the linear settlements. These patterns are noticed along a railway line, metal road, or rivers, canals, streams, and edge of a valley. These are seen at the side of the roadways, or rivers, or canals, or streams, or the edge of a valley. They grow due to the advantage of transport and trade. Such settlements are also known as ribbon pattern settlements. So this linear settlements is also known as the ribbon pattern settlements because these in page number 10 you can see in the linear settlements, that map you can see from that road or anything the people are staying there. This is the linear settlement. This type of settlement has two parallel rows of housing facing each other across a wedge valley through fair. Or you can see on a road at the left side or the right side, both side people stay, like this we are talking about. These type of settlements are common in coastal Kerala, Manipur, and some districts of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Nagaland. The fishing villages in the coastal areas also look like linear cluster. Next is the interpretation and analysis of a topo sheet. Interpretation of a topo sheet involves describing the physical and cultural features as shown on it, as well as the interrelation between various features. For example, one can identify different physical features like relief, drainage, and vegetation, and then interpret how these physical features affect the cultural or man-made features. Topographical analysis. The topographical features in terms of surface status, slope, and the type of land use were evaluated for each sub-watershed. The surface status indicator was defined as the degree of surface flatness, which could be quantified using the variation of elevation among the sub-watershed. How settlements are represented on topo sheet. Triangulated stations are indicated on the topo sheet with a small triangle followed by the number. Settlements are also shown by red squares. The grid on the southwest corner of a topographical map is always the reference point or the starting point. Locating features on a topo sheet. For interpreting a topo sheet, it is essential to first find out the location of a place on it. On an ordinary map prepared on a small scale, one can easily find out the location of a place with the help of a grid. A grid is a set of lines that look like a cell on a graph paper. Any feature on the map can be easily located by finding the cell in which it lies. In such map, a grid is formed by the lines of latitude and longitude. Topographical maps, however, have large scale and cover much smaller areas. Therefore, in these maps, there is not enough space to form a grid of lines of latitude and longitude. To overcome this difficulty, a grid reference system formed by vertical and horizontal lines is used. These lines are drawn in red color, and each line is known by a two-digit number. These lines are drawn from the southwest corner of a topo sheet as the starting point. The vertical lines drawn east of these points are called eastings, and the horizontal lines drawn north of these points are called northings. The easting increases in values eastward, whereas the northing increases in value northwards. These northings and the easting cut across each other to form squares or grids. These lines are on the basis for reference to landmarks and places shown on the map. To find out the location that lies within a particular square, a grid reference system is used. In this type of reference, the first two figures give the eastings, whereas the last two give the northings. For example, the temple in the above figure has the four-figure grid reference, 3211. You can see on page number 11 in the given map towards the easting and northings you can see where where is the temple is can be seen there in the 3211. You can locate that temple. This means that the temple is located in the 1 kilometer square with eastings for 32 and northings of 11. The northing is of 11 and the easting is of 32. You can locate like this. Thus, large lakes, meanders, streams, settlements, embankment, physical features, etc., which occupy some space on the map, can be located by using a four-figure reference. With the help of contours, map information, and use of conventional signs and symbols, a topographic sheet is usually interpreted. As I have told you, in these maps, there is not enough space to form a grid of lines of latitude and longitude. To overcome this difficulty, a grid reference system formed by vertical and horizontal lines is used. These lines are drawn from the southwest corner of a topo sheet at the starting point. These lines are drawn in red color and each line is known by a two-digit number that we have seen for the temple, that is 3, 2 and 1, 1. The vertical line drawn east of this point are called eastings and the horizontal lines drawn north of these points are called northings. The easting increase in value eastwards, whereas the northings increase in the value northwards. A topographic sheet is usually interpreted under the following heads. First is the marginal information. In the topographic sheet, marginal information, it includes the topographical sheet number, like the topographic sheet is of 45D7 and 45D10. For example, it is given this number. Its location, grid reference, its extents in degrees and minutes, scales, contour interval, legend, the districts covered, etc. It gives an idea as to which part of country is being depicted by the map. Next one is the relief of the area. The general topography or the relief of the area is studied under hill with concave, convex, steep or gentle slope and shape, plateau, whether it is broad, narrow, flat, undulating or dissected, plain, its types, that is alluvial, glacial, coastal, marshy, etc. Mountain, its general elevation, peak, passes, area, etc. Next is the drainage of the area, the important rivers and their tributaries and the type and the extent of valleys formed by them. The land use it include the use of land under different categories like natural vegetation and forest, agricultural orchard, wasteland industrial area, etc. Facilities and services such as schools, colleges, hospitals, parks, airports, electric substations, etc. Transport and communication. The means of transportation include national or state highways, district roads, cart tracks, camel tracks, footpaths, railways, waterways, major communication lines, post offices, etc. Next is settlements. These are situated under the following heads: rural settlements or urban settlements or the different types of pattern of settlements. Next is the occupation. The general occupation of the people of the area may be identified with the help of land use and the type of settlements. For example, in rural areas, the main occupation of the people is agriculture. In coastal areas, fishing is practiced. Similarly, in cities and towns, services and business appear to be the major occupation of the people. So children, here we have wind up with the chapter that is representation of geographical features. So I will give you the exercise in our next class. You have to read the chapter very carefully at least twice. You have to read the chapter, each and every point you have to read and mark the important points. To read the chapter, that is a must. Okay, children, here we wind up with our today's class. Thank you. Take care.